Just looking up a quick joke here, but if you have one, you want to open, let's open up with one joke before we start.
I can certainly do that. I take this as an official start of our meeting. Hello?
Yes,
Am I?
I
Oh,
can-
okay. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters, honor members. And I think we have a guest that showed up, which I can't see here through Zoom. Oh, I see a hand. Awesome. Guest hand. Wow. Who was grammarian? Throw that M in there. To start to liven up the meeting for this afternoon, this is my first joke. I told my computer I needed a break, and now it won't stop sending me beach wallpapers.
Oh.
That was a little pause there. Let me give you. I'll throw in another one. Parallel lines have so much in common. It's a shame they'll never meet. Parallel lines. Wow. All right, that's all I have, Mr. Toastmaster. Back to you.
Well, thanks, Kim. Thanks for opening with that. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. It's great to have everybody here today. I know the rain gets old after a while, but I really look forward to seeing the rain today. I planted some plants, got them all prepped and ready, got a drip irrigation system to them. And I just let the rain water the plants and my grass. Such a blessing to have the rain to water all the vegetation we have around. Definitely appreciate to see that and see everybody today. Thank you, Kim, for giving us the joke. And I had one too. I'll just compliment your jokes here, Kim, as well. I told my girlfriend she drew her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised. Not original material. All right, well, we got a full agenda today. Looking forward to Kathy's speech she's going to be giving, something that she started with a couple weeks ago. I heard it was really good, so looking forward to hearing that today. But first, I'd like to introduce the roles and the people going to be doing the roles today. So I'll start out with our table topics master. Kim, would you introduce your role?
Yes, I can. Sorry, there. My audio button here on my computer is not responding properly. As the table topic are you having issue hearing me?
You're a little low.
I'm a little low. Okay,
Maybe
sorry.
from our end, I can check.
How about now? Better?
Yeah.
A little better. Okay, I may switch it up. I do have the other login, 2 logins here. The role of the table topic master is to come up with some topics later in the meeting, about halfway when being called up. And the topics is 1 to 2 minutes of speaking time. I'll be able to call up 1 or 2 person to share about what the topic is about. And it's going to be 1 to 2 minutes long. And it's the time for folks to be able to extemporaneously talk about anything they want to and build confidence as they are doing that before going to a full 5 to 7 minute speech. With that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Kim. Next role I'd like to introduce is our grammarian, going to be Brandee today.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guest today, Buffy. I'll start with the word of the day. One thing that the grammarian does. The word of the day is nascent. Nascent is a formal word used to describe something that is just beginning to exist, or in other words, is recently formed or developed. An example. The actress is now focused on her nascent singing career. Nascent in context. I asked my father recently if I might borrow one of his old journals as research for a nascent writing project. I felt like there might be something in there in the poetry of Oriel Lames, or the steady, plotless attention to the natural world. That was a little bit long for it in context. But nascent is our word of the day.
Spelling.
Oh, spelling.
N-A-C-E-N-T.
Yes, N-A-S C-E-N-D. That's what you just said.
As I didn't say, I would have spelled it wrong.
Okay. As your Marian, it's my job to listen to everyone speaking today. I'm gonna be listening for words that distract. Oftentimes those are filler words, and is a really common one. So you know, okay, words like that. But I also will be listening for good word usage, things that are interesting ways to use a word or a new word. And then at the end of the meeting, I will be reporting on all the things that I've heard. I'm also supposed to be the timer
Timer,
today,
yes.
but I was wondering if Karina, do you think it would be hard to be the timer out there in Zoom land? Would you like to be the?
She did her thumbs up.
Oh, okay, great. Then Karina can be timer.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Gusman.
Thank you. Thank you for volunteering, Karina. Welcome, Karina. Can you hear us okay?
Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, we can't hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yep, there you are.
Yeah, okay. Cool,
Do
cool.
you have
Nice.
something to designate red, yellow, and green for us?
Yeah, I can try to find something.
Nice.
I have post-it notes. Post-it notes.
Right.
Okay.
Way to be creative.
Okay, this will be red.
Okay,
Red. And then I have green, and yellow. So got it.
well, you're next. Would you mind introducing the role of the timer and what we can expect?
Hello. Yes. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Close
But
as a bit.
thank you, Toastmaster, and fellow Toastmaster guests. The role as a timekeeper, I will be timing the amount of time for each speech. So I will raise green for, I believe is 1 minute, yellow for 2 if I'm not mistaken, and then 3 minutes is red.
So Kathy's giving a longer speech than what's your speech time today? Can someone else?
Are you just gonna text it to her? Yeah, I got it. We'll text it.
Actually, we're hoping you go along.
You can do as long as you want. Oh, gosh. Do whatever and then we'll fill it in. I can.
10 minutes. So 10 minutes each, max, so
Okay.
8, 9,
10
and 10.
minutes. Okay.
And that's not right. 8, 9, and 10. 10. Or longer.
Okay. And back to you, Toastmaster.
So she wants to do a 10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, and 12. Okay.
Green at
11,
10,
12.
yellow at 11, red at 12.
Okay.
Also, the table topics are 1 to 2 minutes.
Just text over.
Okay,
Yeah,
Will's texting you.
Oh, thank you.
no
We
problem.
appreciate your willingness to jump right in.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely some good character building. It is. It is, right? I'm just gonna bet that's really good. On to the next role, we have the timer, general evaluator. So that's gonna be Will.
Sorry about that. Greetings, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. The purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. During the meeting, I will take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen. I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. At the end of the meeting, I will give you my report. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, everybody, for introducing your roles. Now I'll move on to Dawn, who's going to introduce our first speaker of the day.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters. So I'm going to introduce Kathy. Her speech today is called procrastination.
this book I've had it for quite a while. In fact, I have it in 3 notebooks. It's called Be Unapologetic. You would think I would know who I am unapologetically. However, I had to get it just right. It wasn't quite ready. It wasn't everything that I wanted in it. I felt it needed to encompass everything that was me unapologetically. It came about after I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2011. Subsequently, 2012 rolled around. I opened my new business and I thought, I'll just do that later. Not time for that. From procrastination to power. I believe there's power inside each and every one of us. We have an opportunity to exude the real person that we are. And inside, I was waiting. I was waiting. I was waiting for permission. I was waiting for the right moment. I was waiting for everything except that's what it was about. From procrastination to power. The truth about procrastination, it's not a time issue. I didn't have to wait for the right moment. There's a psychologist, Usha Suros. She says the closer we get to our purpose, the closer we get to who we want to be, more difficult it is to push that barrier. We're waiting. What are we waiting for? What am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? I didn't know. I just knew I needed to wait. I just knew it wasn't the right time. In fact, when I gave this speech, I wanted to practice so bad. And things kept coming up, distraction. Everything was in the way. That I will practice this speech. I will practice it. So the night before I delivered this speech at the Toastmaster event, I stayed up past 1 a.m. to practice. My practice involved me not practicing because I couldn't get the words just right. I procrastinated even more. That morning I got up assured that I would practice on my way, on the drive. However, I had a morning book signing that was an obstacle. If you want to call it an obstacle, it was a barrier that prevented me from practicing. In fact, I was not able to deliver this speech because I waited so long that my drive was a 2-hour drive to get there. I'm panicking, I'm practicing, I'm driving, I'm practicing. I'm doing all the things that we do before we have to do the thing that we are called to do. Procrastination. What excuses are you giving? I had a lot of them. A lot of them. I'm not quite ready. I'm not ready. Maybe somebody else should do this. It shouldn't be me. I would rather sit back and However, Stephen Pressett says in his book, The War of Art, that truth is fear in disguise. The reality actually comes when you move, when you take the step. When I get in the car and I drive and I put in my GPS, the destination to where I'm going, that forward movement pushes procrastination away. Procrastination is something I believe we all possess at some time or another. Why don't we do it? Do I do it? There's so many excuses I could give, so many. Even the ones that are up there, there's so many more excuses that I could give because I didn't believe that it was my time to speak. I thought it was maybe someone else's time. Maybe I could just watch and observe. I could learn from others. However, I decided to go. I decided to go, to actually make that movement that was discussed in that book. I have now gone live on Facebook consecutively for 88 days as of yesterday. Consecutive, that's not an easy task. Consecutive means every day, right? Every day I push the live button. Do I want to? No, I don't want to. However, I made a commitment to myself to keep going, to keep moving. My goal, it keeps pushing further and further away. At first it was 365 days. I will go live. When 365 days came, I wasn't quite sure what's next. Now I push the button again. And now that we're approaching 1,000 days, there's going to be a new transition. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I know that I must continue to move forward to keep procrastination at bay. What else have I done? I decided to write a book. Now it's not the book that I started. No. It's a new book. I started something totally new. What does that mean? That means I'm still a work in progress. I still have that procrastination bug. I dusted off that unapologetically me and I started working on it because I knew I needed to get over this procrastination bug. Because if I finish something that I started a long time ago, it will help me propel so much further and moving to get new things accomplished. I was able to write my first book, which was Powerhouse Entrepreneur's Playbook. I am writing an accompanying journal to go with that book. I wrote my first children's book, which I had planned to bring, but you can't see it right now.
Mhm.
Xavier rhymes with Savior. That's my first grandson. And more companion books. I have my grandson, Elijah, who I have written his book. I'm about to publish Eli. My name is Elijah. My third grandson, who's 9 months, about 9 months now, his name is Joseph. His mother does not want me to put him on social media at all. Do not show his face anywhere. Do not even use artificial intelligence. I thought of creative ideas. I'll do a audible, which I will sing about. There's always procrastination. Well, one tool, actually, there's several tools that I'm going to share with you to help each and every one of us to get over this hurdle of procrastination. Power keys. Power keys help us to open doors, unlock doors. The first one is to start before you're ready. I wasn't ready to go live on Facebook. In fact, I thought social media was something that people just did that didn't have time to actually do what needed to be done in the real world. However, I decided that it's a tool. It's a tool that I can use for good, or I can use it for whatever I needed to use it for. I decided to use Facebook to go live every day, and I started before I was ready. What are you procrastinating on that you need to start right now? Brandee Brown, say her name right, she has a book about the gifts of her imperfection. When you start before you're ready, it's actually a gift because what comes out of you is what was really inside of you, is what the world really needs to hear and what you have to offer. Use that gift that's inside of you. That was your first power key. Your second power key is to speak anyway. Speak anyway. Your voice is valuable. You need to be heard. You need to be heard. People need to hear what you have to say. The most quietest person has a lot of thoughts going on in their head. I can say that because that's me. That's my motive. I will sit in the room and be silent, and every voice is inside of me ready to scream. Speak anyway. Your voice is valuable, and it does not have to go viral. If you go live and only one person looks or nobody looks, you know that you've done it. You've taken that first step and you are speaking anyway. Power key 3. I have this program that I started last year. I started it from scratch. I didn't really want to do it because I had to wait until it was just right. Wait until I had all the bugs out of the system. But I decided that I needed to build as I go. I decided to build as I go. That power key helped me to get off of that procrastination bridge and get onto power. I started that program. People are engaged every week. We are making momentum. And there's this book about mindset. Carol DeWitt, she talks about how you don't grow into it. You grow while you're doing it. And as I began to do it, I felt the growth inside of me. I was able to also share the growth that I saw in others. And we were able to help one another. That part of building while becoming is a very powerful key to get you off the procrastination bridge. Power key number 4. Once you start, don't stop. As I said, I've gone live 988 days, excuse me. Now, in order to continue, I need to stay in motion. In order to continue, I need to stay in motion. Momentum attracts miracles. That's a atomic habit, James Clear. When you are in momentum, you can't stop. You can't stop. In fact, I don't want to stop. It creates a passion, a desire inside of you to keep going, keep going. Now, this is a call in for each and every one who's here to open up those thoughts, those cobwebs that you have in the past, those things that you've delayed, those things that you say, oh, it's too late. As long as you're living and breathing, it's not too late. It's not too late. It's not too late. It's not too late. I want to share a short story about a business trip I just went on. Went to Atlanta. I went for an award ceremony. I was invited because I was selected for a wealth leadership award. I went, I was happy, expecting to see my name up on the screen. I had a VIP seat, which meant I went in earlier to the conference. I was able to collaborate with so many dignitaries from all over the world. I felt I was in the right space. Then it came time for the award ceremony. They called up the names on the screen for the different categories. As your name was called for nominees, everybody clapped. There was family there. Very family environment, family friendly, business friendly, very regal environment as well. When they called my category, they pulled up the different names that they showed on the screen, except my name was missing. When I saw that inside of me, the internal dialogue was, what's wrong with this picture? I was sitting with another lady. She said, Kathy, I thought you were nominated for that award. She said, I don't know what happened, but I think you need to do something about it. I said, no, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. I'll accept whatever, modest, being modest. And as time went on, I started to get a little angry inside. Tried not to show it on the outside. I was not happy about it. In fact, after the ceremony, the organizer came up to me and she said, Kathy, what happened? I said, I don't know. You tell me what happened. She said, I am so sorry. I apologize. We did not mean to do that. We did not mean to overlook you. We had this technical glitch. I said, yeah, that's okay. The more she talked, the more I realized that I was offended and I needed to let her know. She said, Kathy, how many times do you let people just walk over you? She said, how do you let people dismiss your voice? How do you let that happen? How long will you let that happen? The more she said that to me, the more she talked to me, the more I started to get emotional. And in fact, I got to where I just broke down because all of that was in me and I needed to let it out. And she was a saint. I let it out. She apologized. I thought it was over. Then She stopped everyone in the room. We're in this ballroom. She stops everyone. She says, wait, sit down. Sit down. Everyone sit down. She pulls the slideshow up. She begins to give the category announcement for the category that I was in. She announced all the names. She called the winner. She announced my name in the category. And after she announced the winner, said, we'd like to hear from Kathy. I go up to the stage. I don't know what I'm about to say. I have no idea. I just know I've gone from being dismissed, being upset, to being relieved, and now I'm in the spotlight. Time to speak. This is what I wanted, right? This is what I thought. I go to the lectern or podium, whatever you call this thing. Go up. It's okay, but it's not okay. I'm okay, but I'm really not okay, but I'm okay. Okay? The organizer comes up, she says, Kathy, we love you. She continued to say these things. I said, I understand that. I just want everyone to know that I accept this. I appreciate your efforts and what you've done, but it's okay to not be okay. Okay? I just need to let you know. Okay? Okay. Strange, but okay. I believe it's very important to let people know how you really feel. Life is short. As I said, I procrastinated on my book long enough. Unapologetically Me, it's about to be published this week. I've dusted off the cobwebs. I've pulled up whatever tools I found to put in there, and done is done. It will be finished this week. From procrastination to power, I am Kathy Frost Reese, and I would love you to pull up your old, forgotten, delayed things and bring them back to life, because we want to hear about your pursuits. We need to hear your voice. We need to hear.
Thank you very much. It's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that today. And I'm sad I missed it at the speech contest. Were you able to make? There's some people were able to make. But it's nice to hear it twice. All right, the next thing we have is our table topics. It's going to be hosted by Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, Kathy, for that shortened version of procrastination. Let's continue the theme. I really do like one of your point about imperfections, and I think someone who isn't here, Robin, did a different speech called "Throw Imperfection Out the Window." So it's great to realize how the different themes your book are all tying together, because we're not here to be perfect and procrastinate. With the theme, I thought it'd be interesting to ask if anybody has been procrastinating on anything at all and they would like to share one or two things and maybe how they overcome that, whether using any of the powers that was mentioned or just their own way of getting around that. Does anyone have one or two they want to share? Okay, maybe that's a difficult one. All right, I'll have easier question then. Okay. How about the other easy topic we can try and do off the cuff here is, have you ever had someone who is a mentor to you, whether it's a family member or you consider a mentor that you look up to, and you could just share about what they've done in your life to help you grow? Brandee, thank you. All right, that's a good one.
Thank you, Kim. Mr. Table Topics Master. The mentor that I will talk about today that made a difference in my life is someone who I've talked about many times before, and that's my mother, Vicky. She was someone who procrastinated. She was someone who was human in every way. She had her flaws, just like the rest of us. But she had this part of her where she wanted to share her voice and she wanted to be in front of people. And she wanted to share what she knew and what she was passionate about. And it wasn't easy. She wasn't a natural speaker. She would just make herself do these things. She would always push herself. And she accomplished so much just in doing it, just in that, I think you called it that, like forward momentum, just making herself do it. And I never realized when I was young, but I think I realized as I got older, I possess that same momentum. I don't always use it. I'm great at procrastinating, but I will make myself do uncomfortable things. I think joining Toastmasters was one of those. Not easy to put yourself out there when speaking in front of people is not something that comes naturally to you. So I would have to say that my mom, Vicky, is the person who was the biggest mentor in my life because of that. And I know that not everybody possesses this because people around me notice it, including my husband. He always says, you always push yourself. He's like, I always think, what would Brandee do? You always make yourself do these uncomfortable things. You know, if there's a presentation, you throw your hand up and you'll go do it, even though you're scared out of your wits to do it. And that's kind of how I know that this is not something that everybody just sort of has, but something that's learned, I guess. I think with that, I think I'll give it back to you, Kim. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandee, for sharing. I believe we have only one more time for one more, maybe potentially. Mr. Toastmaster, what do you think? It's 12:39 right now.
How about I do one?
Oh,
Can I take
that sounds
offer? Procrastination.
Because he just did it.
I just procrastinated. I thought about it.
big. Awesome. There we go.
I don't like to weed. I go out there and weed, and that's one thing I procrastinate on. And I'd like to go buy the weed killer and just fumigate everything. But I think about the environment, it's not the best thing to do. I don't have to weed kill everything. I try not to. So I'm out there with my tools, rake, or digging out the weeds, and my back hurts, and I'm sore. And I know every time I'm gonna weed, I'm gonna hurt. That is one thing I procrastinate on. This last weekend, I went ahead and weeded. It's the Memorial Day weekend. I'm out there every day just pulling weeds. One good tool I did find helps me out a lot, especially for dandelions, is they call them a cat's paw for construction workers. The little cat's paw that has a nail. You can pound them in and pull nails, and it has like a hook on the end. I really like that thing because you can get right in next to the root, to the really long, what do they call it, the tap root. Just pull it out. Chickens really like dandelions. So I take all those over there and they're happy. It's more of a win-win for the chickens than for me. But that is one thing I procrastinate. I should have been doing this in March. There we go.
Right. Thank you, Justin. Why don't you hang out around there because I'll just mention a few things here on my topic and then I'll hand it back to you.
Okay.
So I was thinking about some of the things that I procrastinate on. A lot of the time, for me, it's all little things like what you said there, Justin. Just housework, many little things, and creating a list. Right now, I'm just going through my mind the millions of things that I have to do, and it's so weird that just little things like that make you wait when it only takes like 2 to 3 minutes. And I think it's great that Kathy just say started. I have a presentation coming up for work here that I've been preparing for, and for the longest time, I waited for the right time to share it with my team, and I realized that if I had done it earlier and share all and just got it going, I wouldn't be as nervous as I am now in about 20 minutes. So thank you, Kathy, for reminding us that. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kim. Nice job on the on the table topics. You even gave us a preview of what you're gonna ask us, so you didn't catch any of us off guard. That's always nice. Then you didn't have many volunteers. All right, well, next let's move on to our evaluator. I think she's gone to evaluate Kathy's speech.
My name is Toastmasters. Greetings, Toastmasters and all guests. I was tasked with evaluating Kathy's speech today. That was an incredible speech to start off with, because I think we all procrastinate some in one way or another. So let's just get right into it. Some things that I liked. All right, so your vocal variety was great. You had a good range of volume, so everyone heard what you were saying. So that was amazing. I like the slides and the visuals. So when people do like longer speeches, it's nice to guide our attention somewhere else versus just the speaker. So that was pretty nice. So I really like the slides and the visuals. Your hand movements was A+, like A+++++. I mean, he was doing like a lot of stuff, surfing up here and stuff like that, and dancing around. But it kept me engaged. It kept me interested in what you were saying of the topic. So that was amazing. And the slides, I noticed the call to action of the slides. So basically resonated with the audience certain points of your topic, so which was really nice. So first thing that I noticed is the intro. When we first started, it was kind of a little awkward. I would suggest that before you start speaking, greet the crowd, greet the audience first, and then again the topic, and then go into your speech. Honestly, that was probably the only thing that I noticed that needs a little improvement on, for my opinion. And also I have a suggestion too, because of longer speeches like this, 12-minute speech, make it a little bit more interactive if you can, like by raising hands. Like from the beginning, you say, hey, have anyone else procrastinated? Raise your hands. Get it more involved with the audience. And you can do that throughout the speech too as well. So with different things that you're saying. So any of this, you have a grace in speaking. It is very, very comfortable. Like maybe it's the practice, maybe it's the 998 days of going live, but like for someone like me that's like starting to get into Toastmasters, it's really comforting to see, someone else, more of a mentor position, see what I can potentially be like. So which is amazing. So incredible speaker. And congratulations on your book, by the way. Yeah, I'm super excited to actually to read it. So I would love to. So with that, I'm going to pass this on back over to Toastmasters. Thank you for the speech.
Thank you, Don. Very nice evaluation. Appreciate it. I always enjoy hearing everybody's evaluation. Everybody has a different perspective, tips, advice, and the way they perceive things, which is really helpful because everybody's unique. It's nice to give a good speech to a wide variety of audience with different perspectives. Take that feedback. All right, next we can move on to our general evaluator. Will today.
All right.
All right, well, I think today was a great meeting. We were a little disorganized at the beginning, just kind of getting started, just deciding if the jokes were part of the meeting or not, but we got there, it was all good. We only started like a minute or two late, no biggie. I really like these meetings where they don't follow kind of the format. I appreciate like the longer speeches because feel like it kind of gave us definitely a theme for the meeting. And I notice, at least personally, I tend to get a little more out of these longer presentations. It gives the speaker more time to talk, but it just really steers the entire meeting. And again, Dawn said it, but that was an inspirational speech there, Kathy. What else did I have? Honestly, that's about it. This was a good meeting. It did kind of inspire me though. I mean, one thought is, why don't we have a book club? Like, I mean, that's between all the authors you had quoted on in your presentation. And you have a new book. We can make your book the first book of the book club. But just a thought, because I mean, we're all here to kind of specifically improve in public speaking, but we could read books on public speaking, or I mean, I don't care, I read a lot, so anything, but just thoughts to consider. I have not been paying attention to how long I've been talking, and I know we're a little short on time, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the roles. First, I believe I called the timer, so Karina, do you mind giving the timer reports for us?
Alrighty, let me get started. Thank you, Will. So thank you, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I will be going over the times for our speakers today. So for Kathy, for your speech, you were at 17 minutes and 43 seconds. For table topics, Brandee, you were at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Justin, you were at 1 minute and 14 seconds. For Kim's brief table topic, he was at 47 seconds. Dawn, for your evaluation, you were at 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And Will, for just a general, you were at 1 minute and 51 seconds.
All right, thank you, Karina. All right, and next we'll call the grammarian up for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guest today. No words of the day, nascent. I've got to work on that one.
Oh, it's a tough one.
Maybe I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back next time.
Yep, sure.
We'll try it again. So we'll start with Justin. You had one. The way, this is a different way to track. It's got the ahs, ums, and ers together. It's got the ands and sos together, and then the repeats. So you may not know if you had an or an you just know you had one of those. So having said that, Justin, one or one and so, and then a good word usage was every time I bleed, I'm gonna hurt. And cat's paw. Kathy, 17 minutes of talking and all I got was one weeping. I mean, holy moly, you are a great speaker. So good word usage, unapologetically, exude, consecutive, power key, powerhouse, entrepreneur playbook, speak anyway, momentum attracts miracles, dignitaries. We could go on and on about all the good word usage there. And then Kim, you had 5 ums or ers, 2 repeats. Will, you had over 10 ums or ers, 1 repeat. Dawn, you had over 10 ums or ers, 6 and so's, 1 you know, 2 repeats. Buffy, didn't get you. But there's still 10. And Karina, you had 10 ums or ers. I did a thing where I just, once I get to 10, I just stop counting. Some people like to count. I think Robin said in one table topic, she had like 70 ums or something, like in 1 to 2 minutes, which I could see happening. I've heard myself like every other word before. So with that, I am going to give it back to Mr. General Evaluator. Hilda.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian, and I will turn it back over to Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Will. Okay, the theme for the meeting today, and I'll just point out Karina. I'm sure you felt like what Kathy said, unprepared, not ready, you don't have the script, and you did a great job. You even improvised with your sticky notes.
I was like, keep my sticky notes all the time with me.
That's great, and that is something about Toastmasters I've liked, especially as Will mentioned, the smaller group, it's really forced me forward where I naturally would not have. So that is something I'm grateful for with this group, for the time I've been here, it's really been helpful. And Kathy definitely pointed that out today with her speech. That's great, we had a great meeting, and now I'd like to ask if anybody wants to fill out the roles for next week. Anybody have anything they want to do next week? Toastmasters, joke masters? Right.
That would be.
They want to evaluate them?
Yeah, I can do it. Oh.
Thanks, Alex. Rock, paper, scissors.
You want to try something else, Don? Do you want to do the evaluator?
I'll do the general evaluator.
Okay, that'd be a good opportunity for you.
Who else can evaluate?
Yeah. That's great. Just get a timer. Do next second speech.
I'll do timer. I keep doing timer. Timer is good for now.
Okay, well, we'll call that good then for now. But yeah, thank you. That was a great meeting. I agree with Will. These are nice meetings. They always come here. There's a new challenge, something else. Appreciate that. Appreciate anybody that jumps in and helps out when you can. Whether it's Karina, Kathy taking a long speech slot last minute. Always great. We have a guest today. Buffy, we heard, so Robin shared our club with you.
Oh, yeah, for years.
Okay, you finally decided to come. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, she told me it was time to show up.
What do you think of the meeting?
I'm very impressed. I am in ministerial school at our spiritual center and give talks quarterly at this point. And I was like, I'm not taking notes, but I'll do it next time. Procrastinating. I am ready to start practicing differently instead of just all by myself when there's nobody in the house. So I'm not sure what it'll look like with my calendar, but I'm gonna come to these meetings as often as I can, and
It's definitely a place to grow and learn.
yeah, I see that. The amount of paying attention that you have to do as the evaluator, I'm like, I'll watch for a while. I'll be a timer. Well, no, I could probably be that timer even. Yeah. It's interesting and I'm enjoying it and I'll be back.
Thank you. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming, and with that, I'll close the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karina.
Bye.
But you have scripts for all the roles.
Ah,
So.
right.
You can use those.
Once I've sort of gotten a